Hi there, Raoul Monks here, founder and director of Flume Sales Training. Welcome to today's Flume Sales Chat, where we're joined by Vanessa Hunt, who is a leading CRM and marketing expert and consultant. And we're going to be talking today about sales leadership, but how used intelligently and in the right way, CRM can be one of the best solutions and answers to some of the toughest sales and sales leadership challenges out there. So Vanessa, tell us a tiny bit about yourself and your background, but then really keen to just get into why CRM is such a good answer to so many of the questions out there right now.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. So yeah, my background is CRM. It has been for 20 years, and things are changing at a pace, and certainly the challenging times at the moment are drawing attention to that.
Yeah.
I think one of the key things that CRM enables sales leaders to do is to start a conversation with their team about how things are going. And I think at the moment, there's a lot of people working in isolation. These are anxious times. It's more pressurized than ever for sales teams. And I think reports and dashboards and analytics have always been seen as quite a negative thing to measure, what people are doing and, what they're not doing. And actually, I'm really passionate about seeing those analytics and those metrics as ways of helping coach your team. And that's one thing, it's a piece I think has been missing for a long time, that we roll out a CRM, we show the management reports and dashboards that you can use to look at stuff, but we haven't kind of got to that point where we help sales leaders interpret that information and use it as a platform for coaching their team, looking at the activities and the behaviors that they have, and helping them see not just what they're not doing, but also, what are the positive things that they've done within certain relationships, and then interpret that to then apply it to other similar business relationships. So that kind of
question about that. Could I ask a question about that? Because I find that fascinating. So actually last year, we had a client who is a really important client to us. All clients are, but one of the things they did really well, which was different from what other clients had done, was exactly what you just said there, which was that they were using the CRM to measure different KPIs they wanted to push, but then to identify specific development areas, which then essentially it's almost used as a training needs analysis, I suppose. But I haven't really heard of that apart from that client. So have you got any kind of examples of other clients who have done that?
Well, yeah, because I think certainly, again, can't sort of name names, but sure. The organizations that I've worked with, where not just the CEO is committed, but also the sales leadership and management teams, and they are committed to learning new skills themselves. So I always plan to train managers before we manage their teams. Actually, I did work with one organization, a very large pharmaceutical, where we actually had the sales managers train their own teams. It was in Morocco, and I was delivering in French. We did a train the trainer. We trained the senior managers to deliver the training to their own teams. And that was one of the most powerful ways of helping them see the value. They knew what their teams needed. They knew what the productivity tools were that they needed. They could give it in the message in the right way. It was difficult because they weren't all natural trainers. So it's kind of getting that balance. But absolutely, the buy-in from the teams was just, so much better, because they could see that their own managers were putting themselves in a vulnerable position, trying to do something that they hadn't done before, and that they then really understood, how that CRM worked really well. So yeah, I think that's the first thing, is really for managers to commit to learning and wanting to be able to, change their own behavior. And most salespeople don't want to admit when they don't know something. They're very confident with their clients. So, you don't want to admit that you don't know how to do something. It's a bit embarrassing. But if you can get over that embarrassment and say, well, let's just work out how we can do this together, then already, you're 10 steps, ahead of many other organizations.
Great. Okay, so the coaching bit absolutely makes sense. From the sales leader's point of view, are there any other reasons why it's so urgent and important to be on top of that CRM right now? Why else is it going to help?
Yeah, I think at the moment, as we said, we're all working on our own. It's pretty difficult to motivate yourself sometimes, when you've not got the team around you, and you've not got, the rallying of the team, celebrating people's successes. And so, historically, I've always suggested, that showing reports and dashboards in your team meetings and discussing them together, is a good starting point. So in a virtual world, we can still do that. We can still have a look at that information and share it in these virtual calls, but not looking at it again from a kind of a directional way, but looking at, okay, let's just use this as a way of looking at, where are you with this relationship with this customer? What can we do? So again, bringing in that coaching approach, but having your plan in front of you through the dashboard will help you keep on track with the conversations, but also really focus on, the motivational things. You've got these meetings in the diary, you're already talking to these stakeholders. So knowing, where you are with that plan and that you're seeing progress.
Okay. So around that, a big piece there around accountability, really, and driving that accountability and the engagement, I'd imagine.
Exactly. And we talked earlier about, sort of performance indicators, and, in the past, you could maybe get away with a lower win rate because you've got so many opportunities in your lap. When you've only got a few opportunities, winning that business becomes more and more critical. But you also want to make sure that you're not winning the wrong business because you're desperate. You want to make sure that, this is good business for your organization. And looking at ways, again, coaching the salesperson in how you can close that business, sooner, perhaps, and also making sure that you're keeping that velocity going. So again, historically, you might let things drag on for a few weeks or so because you've got so much business on your plate. But because it's so much more scarce now, every piece of business is more, hyper valuable, and so it can become you can actually get the opposite problem, that then you become more pushy because you really want to win that, you really need to win that piece of business, and then again, that's a complete turn off for customers. So it's keeping the pace and making sure that you're really, honed into to winning well and in a respectful way, I think.
So okay, so let's have a think about the outlook of a lot of sales leaders, not all by any means, because some are just brilliant at using CRM, others more reluctant, let's say, for different reasons. And having been in that position myself a number of years ago, I know some of the challenges / fears I had around CRM with my teams, and going too much into it was that kind of almost feeling of micromanagement, and also that sometimes you get so much pushback from the sales teams on using a CRM that it almost felt like too much effort to actually ever get them using it, because are they ever really going to use it? Now, do you have any thoughts around that? Like any reasons people should look at it differently, or ways they should do it differently?
Yeah, I think there's always that thing about, you always have certain people in your team that will be completely pro, and you'll always have people that are completely against it. And the trouble is that those people might be performing really well, so the last thing you want to do is start pushing against somebody that's already performing really well. But this is about performing even better, and I think that's the thing that people think. You can't treat your team members differently. Everybody needs to be doing the same things. Everybody needs to be treated in a similar way, and encouraged to use your CRM. But the value might be different for different people, and so that's back to sort of personalized training, bespoke training for individuals. What could be a value to one person, their sales style might be very different from another. So, one person might really want to be focused on, well, how do I streamline my meeting planning? Another might be more focused on, how do I get my orders through faster and, get responses quickly for my customer? So trying to work it out, and this is again back to coaching and knowing your team, understanding your team's motivations, and treating each person as an individual, and allowing them to have, personal training sessions, you know, that's probably the biggest thing that you can do, that would help improve matters, because, you know, nobody wants to admit in a team meeting that they don't understand something. And, you know, as we said, you know, one person that's maybe been there longer, got much better relationships already, is going to be looking at it from a more strategic point of view than someone else. So I think it's just really about having a very personal approach, you know, and that's where the sales management and leadership comes in. And these again are just tools to help you do something, you know, that you should already be doing, but again may not have received training yourself to do that. Because, you know, a lot of sales managers, you know, go into that role because they were really good at sales, not because they've ever been, you know, given those middle management skills. So yeah, it's about also being open about what you need as a sales manager or leader in order to allow you to get that behavior going along the team, and to make use of all of those tools.
So, okay, so I know that from the sales perspective, when we last spoke, you came up with this really enlightening kind of 5-point plan. Do you have an equivalent kind of plan or steps for the sales leaders? Like, how do you get the most and make it work harder for you, the CRM? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I guess some of those points would be really similar, but from a management perspective. So absolutely, the first thing that we said last time was mindset. So, you know, seeing this as an integral part of your role as a sales manager or leader. It really terrifies me if I hear, you know, someone in, you know, a sales directorship role saying, I never log in, or I wait for the Excel spreadsheet to be sent to me. I mean, that is just terrifying, and that happens in large organizations, not just tiny ones. So I think committing to, again, the investment in that software, and committing to the value that it can add, and knowing that you cannot do the best job as a sales leader unless you do that. You know, that's one thing. So definitely that mindset change. Which then comes down to, again, being really involved in making it work for the team. A lot of sales leaders will just give up, let IT look after that, let, you know, the trainer look after that. They don't get involved in making the system work better, because it's down to design. You know, a CRM is only as good as the way it's designed and configured. So you can't just buy, you know, Salesforce off the shelf and it will transform your business. You know, you need to work out what you need it to do to drive your business. So having it on the agenda. I mean, one client I'm working with at the moment, you know, we have regular training sessions as part of their sales team meetings. So it's got to be up there. It's got to be a priority. Again, back to sort of action planning, you know, simple things. So sales leaders and sales managers planning their internal meetings using the CRM, incorporating the dashboards and reports into those meetings, making sure that they are walking the talk and that they are using it as heavily as they expect their team to use it. That's absolutely got to be a must. And I think, again, sort of culturally, showing that you don't have to know everything. You know, I think a lot of once you kind of get into a management level, it's almost like you're not allowed to admit that you don't know stuff. And again, that's a personal mindset, but saying, you know, I need training. I want to learn more about this. I am going to watch some videos and really get into the weeds of this CRM, because a lot of the CRM organizations, you know, they produce some great material about so many topics, not just CRM, but, you know, looking at Trailhead, looking at some of the things on, you know, HubSpot websites. There's some great learning there, which, you know, people don't invest time in because they're so busy. But if you just committed to doing half an hour of learning a week, you know, I think you'd make a radical change, and come up with some really innovative and new ideas for your team. So, you know, the question, I think, the fourth point would be to really connect deeply with your team, you know, find out what it is that they need to help motivate them, to help make them feel good, you know, and that might be looking at, okay, how many meetings have you had last week? You know, last week you had 5 really good virtual meetings. How do we make that 10? What can I do to help you make that 10? And so, you know, you are personally taking responsibility as a leader to help that person, you know, move and progress, you know, that kind of carrot approach rather than the other. And then lastly, you know, we talked about the importance of really good referrers. Sometimes I think once again you're at a higher level, you forget that you've got a network that will really help your team, or it's just not something again that's on the agenda in a regular way. So it might happen, but in an ad hoc way. So, you know, perhaps every week you just write down a list of, you know, 5 people from your previous network where you were working, or you had clients, or you had suppliers, and give 1 lead to each of your sales team and help them close that particular that business and help them progress it. So again, that's not necessarily the CRM, but it's helping, you know, give them valuable data, and they can only get it when they go into the CRM, but using it to really show, okay, we've got some measurable things that we can do. We've got some really good high quality leads in here. Yes, there might be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of contacts in the CRM, but again, let's just focus, and the CRM will help you focus, because you'll be able to see where you've had success before, what made the real difference, and then that makes you really kind of hypersensitive to, you know, who are your best buyer personas, and who you maybe, you know, step away from or refer to someone else if they're not quite in your niche, because not all business is good business.
Vanessa, it's been enlightening, and from someone who historically has not been the best user of CRM, I've kind of got a completely new light on this, and I do genuinely feel like it's one of the most important things right now to enable sales leaders and sales teams to plan, be accountable, and to drive deals over the line. And we need to be able to do all of that stuff, and at the heart of it is having that information in front of you and holding people accountable by having meetings and bringing it and making it transparent to them. So I think it's really, really brilliant. So thank you so much for this. I'm sure we'll see you again and talk to you again, but thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good end of the week.